Hello everybody, this is Curtis Spivey with Team ABU Games, bringing you back another bargain budget build. This time we've got Black Red Burn. I really love this deck. This deck has been playing every burn spell you can pretty much throw on the deck at lower casting cost without breaking your budget. We are running 12 creatures today, and let's go ahead and go over kind of just a handful of cards that really format every single burn deck right now. We've got Fanatical Firebrand. This is a 1/1 for red mana, Goblin Pirate with haste. Sacrifice Fanatical Firebrand. It does 1 damage to target creature or player. So really just gets in there, does some damage. You're trying to get in early. If you need to shoot something, you can. Really good against those white weenie decks that have been popping up a lot. The next card we have got is another 4 of and Ghitu Lavarunner. It's 1 red. It's kind of the pauper staple Goblin guide now. It's a human wizard. As long as there are 2 or more instants or sorceries in your graveyard, this gets +1 and +0 and has haste. So it's a 2/2 if you've played 2 spells, which believe me, we've got plenty in this deck. Next burn spell creature we're kind of running here is a Viashino Pyromancer. Came out in Core 19, it's been in every red deck since. It's 1 colorless and 1 red. It's a wizard, and whenever this Viashino Pyromancer enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to target player or planeswalker. It's a 2/1 itself. The 2 damage is great. If you can get in 1 attack, that's 4 damage from 1 creature. Now the kind of nice thing is, this is actually a Viashino wizard, and the Ghitu Lavarunner is also a wizard, which we have a little wizard theme going on, and you'll see that here in just a moment of such an important card. Now for spells, we're running 23 spells. We've got 4 shocks, just standard instant for 1 red, deals 2 damage to any target. Really need to go ahead and push through that damage. It's honestly one of the first cards that gets cut right away in a lot of matchups. For some of our stronger late game stuff when you're looking at it, especially going against some of our control decks, you've just seen so many lately, but such a good card to have. Next thing we have is a Doublecast. I put this in here from one of my friends. I've been testing it a ton. It's a 2 red spell, so 2 red mana. Sorcery, whenever you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy that spell. You may choose new targets for that copy. This thing just does some insane damage for you. Any of your burn spells will automatically just get doubled in damage. If you're trying to kill creatures, we've got tons of things to remove creatures just so you can get those damage through with your small stuff between all the 12 you run. So Doublecast is cool, 1 of in the main board, and we'll go over some cool things you can do with it too. We are running 2 Lava Coil. There is just so many things that need to be killed right now. This is a 1 colorless, 1 red with 4 bud. All of the Drake decks have to be shot. If you think that you can make it through, they will continually bring back Phoenixes from their graveyard with the Arclight Phoenixes deck. So just 2 in the main, and this deals 4 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile instead. If you actually double cast this and you can get rid of 2 Phoenixes they have, you probably did take a little bit of damage, but normally they're trying to race you, they're a little bit slower, so really important. Next thing we've got is a 4 of Lightning Strike. This is 1 colorless, 1 red instant. It just is good old 3 damage to any target creature or player. It does a lot of damage, kind of helps you finish off games. Now here's our black burn that we have. Let's go ahead and go over that. We've got Sovereign's Bite. It's 1 colorless and a black sorcery. Target player loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. So it does not target creatures, but this is just another 3 damage spell for 2 mana, and plus that 3 life, it's nothing to laugh at. It can definitely get you 1 more draw to really finish out games. Here's the other black spell that we have in here, and we have Sword Point Diplomacy. 2 colorless and 1 black sorcery. Reveal the top 3 cards of your library. For each of those cards, put each one into your hand unless an opponent pays 3 life, then exile the rest. Now, risk factor is super expensive right now. It is going down, so hopefully at some point we can get it in a budget deck for us. But this is kind of a replacement right here. And if they don't let you have all 3 cards, that's 9 damage. If they let you have a land at that point and maybe not a burn spell, they're going to take the same damage for. Even getting 3 damage out of this and a couple cards is great. Or if they take 6 and 1 card, I mean, there's just so many wonderful things that give you. You can get more creatures, those last burn spells. This card's insane. The fact that it's a budget replacement right now to put things in just really blows my mind. It has been going up though. First it was under 50 cents, but now it's been rising, so definitely get your copies to play. Such an awesome burn spell for these kind of decks. Now, I did mention we have something with wizards in here. So we do have the Ghitu Lavarunner and the Viashino Pyromancer. And this Wizard's Lightning is 2 colorless and 1 red. It's an instant. But this spell costs 2 colors less to cast if you control a wizard, and it does 3 damage to any target, kind of like a lightning strike. It's either 1 more or 1 less. So it's really good if you have some of your creatures out. This can just finish the game. You see how many different burn spells we have. This is just fantastic. Now, we are running 3 experimental frenzies in this, and this has finally hit that part where we can get it in some budget decks. If you haven't seen it, this does 3 colorless, 1 red to cast, so 4 mana total enchantment, so you can look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library, you can't play cards from your hand, and then for 4 mana, 3 colorless and 1 red, you can destroy this. So we're running so many spells and creatures, you can seriously just churn through your deck. There's 3 of them in here because this card is that good. Now, we do not have that many high casting costs in this deck, but we are still running 22 lands because you want to hit that Frenzy as that last card in your hand. And even if you have 2 Frenzies, that's fine. You can leave the second one in your hand not to play, and if they destroy the first one, then you have it. So we're running 22 lands. Now, we don't have our Shock land yet, so we do have all the other red-black lands, so 4 Cinder Barrens. We've got 4 Dragonskull Summit. They are super cheap right now. Great pickup to have that mana base for when the next sets come out. Got 11 Mountain and 3 Swamp. Now, even though we have 8 different black spells in our deck, we want to make sure we can cast them. You just don't ever want to run out, and anything except for our double casting with double red we have, so the 3 swamps isn't that big of a liability, and I haven't had any issues in that. Now on the sideboard, we do try to go a little bit bigger in case we are playing control decks on that one, so we are adding 1 extra mountain in, 2 more double casts, because there's a lot of times where you just need to copy your great spells and do that damage and finish it off. And this really can be the same as a lightning strike, just the flexibility is so great. And you can even cut a swamp if you need to add an extra mountain in, because you've noticed it's just lower and you had any kind of issues with it, or just to go up to that 23rd land. You've got 1 more Lava Coil. Now you've got your kind of creature removal with this with Fiery Cannonade. Now Fiery Cannonade's super great for this deck because what this is going to do, it's a 2 colorless and 1 red, and the awesome thing about this card is it wipes your opponent's board at instant speed for non-pirate creatures. So you do run a pirate creature, it's going to kill yours most of the time, but there's a lot of times if stuff does get a little bit bigger, since this does only cost 3 and you can go up to the 23rd land, I've actually cast this with the double cast, so I do 4 damage to everything on board. So it's cleared a lot of boards when things have got out of control, like even some of these token decks, but most part just to go ahead and wipe those boards. There's 4 of it in here, such a great card. Next one we got is a Fight with Fire. Fight with Fire is a super awesome card, 2 colorless and 1 red sorcery. It's got a kicker of 6. That's a lot, but we're mostly playing it for the front side of it. If Fight with Fire deals 5 damage to target creature. So really want to take care of Lyras, anything with 5 butts on there, we need to make sure that we're destroying Aurelias. This will definitely get through with it. Not much can live through the 5 damage. This can be brought in the Drake matchup too to make sure you kill the Drakes. Another thing too is you don't want to have to make your opponent draw. And that's kind of the gross part with Niv Mizzet, but you do need to be able to kill Niv Mizzet. You just can't let that survive, so Fight with Fire is a good option there. 3 of them in here. If you ever can kick it because somehow you get to 9 mana, I mean, it's possible. You definitely can go through with the Experimental Frenzy, or if somebody ends up like settle the wreckage for you with your 12 creatures, you can get help with it that way too. Now, one card I found really good for this for budget and hasn't been played just because the casting cost is a little expensive on here is we do run 12 creatures, and it's Repeating Barrage. It's 1 colorless and 2 red, and Repeating Barrage deals 3 damage to target creature or player. So 3 damage thing for 1 more mana can be the same price as a Wizard's Lightning, but is sorcery speed. But here's the good part, raid. Return this from your graveyard to your hand, activate this only if you attack with a creature. So late game when you literally have nothing better to do, and let's say you just haven't found something, they've ground you out, you can attack with a Ghitu Lavarunner that you found off if you have like 6 mana. And you can play this from your graveyard, and you can put it back in your hand. It just gives you that little bit more reach. Just really another good card if you're just looking to push those final pieces of damage through, when maybe sometimes something isn't good enough, you can change it out. Now, the Inescapable Blaze, yes, this is a pet card of mine. I love it. It's 4 colorless, 2 red. It's an instant. This can't be countered. So in those counterspell decks, this is really just 1 mana cheaper for the amount of damage that you have, rather than just trying to burn their face out completely. But for 6 damage, it does 6 damage to any target. This can finish a game in those control mirrors where you got them down to a lower life, but you just couldn't finally push through the final damage. This 6 I just like. It's been really good at closing because you can get down to those amounts. Say they took a couple damage from Sword Point Diplomacy, this can really just finish it out. If you do have some other things like risk factor, let's say you opened one up, you could definitely throw it in here. There's a bunch of other cards that are good, but this is so low casting cost. You can just burn through the deck. The Experimental Frenzies are great. Such an awesome deck for Friday Night Magic to play. This again is Curtis Spivey with Team ABU Games.